Hello everyone, my name's Chris. Today I'll be teaching you the two-handed card fan. And there's two techniques to producing the two-handed card fan, and I'm going to show you both today. The first one requires quite a bit of finesse, as does any other magic card flourish. But the pressure fan is kind of a fail-safe for impromptu type things that I use. I use the pressure fan in impromptu card magic when I have to use somebody else's old ratty deck of cards. It works with old decks well. New decks, it works, but it bends the hell out of your deck. So keep that in mind. Don't perform the pressure fan unless it's an old deck that you just don't really care about. It's not too hard of a technique to learn, but there's three things you want to keep in mind when you're trying to learn this technique. If this is the first time you're trying to learn this card flourish, I suggest you go out and drop $2 on a new deck of bicycle cards. Okay? Because I tried learning with an old deck and couldn't pick up the basics as well at the beginning as I should have with an old deck that wouldn't spread out as easily as a new deck will. So the first thing you want to do is go out and buy a new deck of cards. Keep it only for this purpose. Just put a note on it if you have to. Card fan only. But the second important thing you want to keep in mind when you're learning this card flourish is the grip. Alright? You want to start off with the deck in this grip in this hand. Alright? Doesn't matter really where the cards are, how you hold it in this hand, because it's going to be switching here in a second. But from there, I put my middle finger of my left hand in this corner of the card. And I put it at a 30-degree angle, and I leave this little area open, right? And then I hold the deck like this. And the most important part about the grip is keep your thumb bent at the tip. Bend this last joint and make sure only one point of contact is being made with the deck. Because if you have multiple, or if you flatten your thumb out, flat is bad because you can still pull off the card fan, but it doesn't allow it to be quite as large. But it's much tougher if you've got in the beginning, if you flatten your thumb out to grip the deck. Bend your thumb joint, put it in about the center of the deck, but only touch it with the tip of your thumb. Alright? And don't squeeze the hell out of the deck. You're not trying to murder your deck of cards, you're trying to make a card fan. I'm gripping it hard enough to keep it from falling out of my hand, but soft enough to allow the cards to swivel and be deposited in different areas. Essentially that's all you're doing, is depositing one card after the other until you get to the end. The third thing to keep in mind about the two-handed card fan is the finesse factor. Alright? If you're performing it with the tip of your thumb, you can do it with your index finger, you can do it with this thumb. I like the thumb because you can bevel the cards a little bit, and that's how I started to teach myself. I watched other videos off the internet because I'm broke, but no one really, the reason I made this tutorial to begin with was this was the first card flourish I had troubles learning from the get-go, because no one clearly explained the grip. It was just wishy-washy the way they explained it. But you can bevel the deck, and by bevel I mean tilt it at an angle. Don't have them squared up. But if you use your thumb, you can bevel it a little bit, and from there begin to slide the deck around and leave one card after the other. Alright? And it does require a certain amount of finesse. And one way to gain finesse with your deck is to just fiddle with your deck of cards whenever you can. If you're sitting around watching TV, be fiddling with your cards. If you're watching a movie, fiddle with them. Put a deck in your pocket, shuffle them when you're riding around with a friend and they're driving. Just shuffle, casual conversation. It'll also help you maintain eye contact with people while you perform things. But alright, so you have your new deck, your grip correct from the get-go. If this grip isn't correct from the get-go, everything else probably won't work out for you. And what I did to start learning was I beveled the deck slightly like this, and then you just slowly with your thumb begin to deposit one card after the other. And when you swivel it to about here, to this point, you'll feel the cards make contact with these two other fingers, your ring and your pinky, that weren't formally involved in the process. But you do need to use your pinky and your ring to finish the fan once it gets to this point. So expect to feel the cards around your ring and pinky finger. To be honest, it's pretty hard to do a card fan slowly, but if you do it quickly, you can perform a pretty good one. And like I said, I'm an amateur magician, so don't take this to be the end-all be-all of card magic. Another thing I wanted to teach you was the pressure fan. Pressure fan's the same, has the same effect results as the non-pressure fan, which I just demonstrated and I showed you the finesse factor, I'd say. But the pressure fan requires the same grip, and you can do it with older decks. But instead of using the tip of your thumb or the tip of your index to swivel the cards around, you use these two fingers to bend the deck. And I mean literally, you bend them down, and then you spin it around your hand, and you use your index finger to deposit cards. The only problem with that is, look, after one use, the deck is already kind of bent. After two, it'll be even more bent. But all you do is you take the deck of cards in this grip, place it in the correct grip in your hand, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. I use my left. And ideally, you'd be ambidextrous, but it's still hard for me to use the other hand for stuff. And then you bend the deck and start to slowly deposit card after card around your hand, like so. But look, after 2.5 card fans, the deck's bent even more. This will really cause wear on your decks really quickly, so I suggest learning the finesse method first and then the pressure fan, because after you learn the finesse kind of way with just the tip of your thumb, the pressure fan is cake. I hope you found this information helpful. These were just a few basic points that I thought were missing from everybody else's tutorials. I hope the information has been helpful to you. Practice,